First Contact and Alliance. The Galactic Council prided itself on being the epitome of civilized space. For millennia, they had maintained peace among thousands of species, all evolving on gentle worlds with moderate climates, reasonable gravity, and minimal environmental hazards. Species that could focus on art, philosophy, and diplomacy rather than mere survival. Then the humans arrived. Another Deathworlder petition for council membership. High Counselor Vreen's voice dripped with disdain as he examined the holographic display. His translucent tentacles waved dismissively. Do they even understand what civilized discourse means? They've met all technical requirements, Administrator Telsic replied, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Their technology is primitive but functional. They've established colonies on 17 planets, and their military, while small, shows remarkable adaptability. Adaptability, Vreen scoffed. A polite way of saying they're unpredictable and dangerous, just like the Vraxians. The mention of the Vraxians caused a ripple of unease among the council members. The insectoid species had joined the council 2 solar cycles ago, grudgingly admitted after they proved they could maintain peace despite evolving on one of the most hostile planets in charted space. A world of constant electrical storms, crushing gravity, and predators that would give nightmares to most council species. Schedule them both for the same hearing. Counselor Marvax suggested, mandibles clicking with amusement. Let's see what happens when 2 Deathworlders meet in the same room. Perhaps they'll solve our problem for us by eliminating each other. The council chamber filled with chittering laughter. Commander Elena Jackson of the United Earth Federation stood at the viewport of the diplomatic shuttle, watching as the massive council station grew larger against the backdrop of stars. A structure spanning 20 kilometers, housing representatives from over 3,000 species, it represented everything humanity had been working toward since discovering they weren't alone in the universe. Quite the sight, isn't it? Lieutenant Park said, joining her at the window. Hard to believe we're finally here. Elena nodded, tugging at the collar of her formal uniform. And hard to believe they've kept us waiting for 3 years before granting us an audience. Politics, Park shrugged. At least they're talking to us now. The shuttle docked with barely a tremor, a testament to the pilot's skill. As the airlock cycled, Elena took a deep breath, mentally reviewing the diplomatic protocols she'd spent months memorizing. First impressions would be crucial. The doors hissed open to reveal a delegation of council representatives, predominantly humanoid, though with striking physiological differences, multicolored skin, extra limbs, bioluminescent organs. They regarded the humans with expressions ranging from curiosity to poorly disguised revulsion. Commander Jackson, a tall, willowy alien, stepped forward. I am Administrator Telsic. The council welcomes you to Harmony Station. Elena bowed slightly. The gesture they'd been told signified respect without submission. Thank you, Administrator. The United Earth Federation is honored by this opportunity. As they followed the delegation through gleaming corridors, Elena couldn't help noticing how other species gave them a wide berth. Conversations stopped as they passed. Some aliens even retreated into side passages. Is something wrong? She asked Telsic. The administrator's expression remained neutral. You are the second Deathworld species to petition for membership in recent cycles. Many find your physiological adaptations disconcerting. Deathworld species. Species evolved on planets with extreme conditions, high gravity, toxic atmospheres, aggressive fauna, unpredictable weather patterns. Worlds that would kill most sentient life within minutes of exposure. Elena blinked. You mean Earth. But it's, by your standards, perhaps hospitable. By galactic norms, extraordinarily hostile. Telsic gestured ahead. The council chamber awaits. You will be sharing your audience with the Vraxian delegation. They are also of interest to the council. The council chamber was a vast amphitheater, with concentric rings of platforms accommodating hundreds of different species. At the center stood a circular platform where Elena was directed to wait. Across from her, already in position, stood a delegation unlike any alien she had yet encountered. The Vraxians resembled mantids, if mantids stood 2 meters tall with iridescent exoskeletons and 4 powerful arms. Their compound eyes gleamed with intelligence, and what Elena assumed were ceremonial markings adorned their carapaces in intricate patterns. The leader of their delegation stepped forward, mandibles clicking in what her translator rendered as formal greeting. "I am Ambassador Cthulhu of the Vraxian Collective." A surprisingly melodious voice emerged from the translator. "We observe your arrival with interest, humans." Elena inclined her head. "Commander Elena Jackson of the United Earth Federation. The interest is mutual, Ambassador." Before they could continue, a resonant tone filled the chamber, and High Counselor Vreen's amplified voice addressed the gathering. "The Council recognizes the delegations from Earth and Vraxia. We have reviewed your petitions for membership and find them technically adequate." His pause spoke volumes. However, concerns have been raised regarding the compatibility of Deathworld species with Galactic society. Elena frowned. This wasn't in the briefing. She glanced at Cthulhu, noting the ambassador's rigid posture. Vreen continued, "Therefore, before consideration can proceed, the Council proposes a test. Both Earth and Vraxia lay claim to the unclaimed system designated NGC 4371. The Council grants both parties one standard cycle to demonstrate their claim through settlement and resource development. The species that shows superior capability will continue in the membership process." A murmur spread through the chamber. This wasn't diplomacy. It was instigation of conflict. Elena stepped forward. "High Counselor, with respect, Earth has no territorial dispute with the Vraxian Collective. We seek peaceful relations with all species." "Indeed," Cthulhu added, mandibles clicking rapidly. "The Collective has no quarrel with humanity. We request clarification on why peaceful coexistence cannot be evaluated." Vreen's appendages waved dismissively. "History shows that Deathworld species inevitably clash when resources are limited. Better to establish dominance now than risk future conflict after membership is granted." Elena caught Cthulhu's compound gaze. Something unspoken passed between them. Recognition, perhaps. Understanding. "The Federation requests a brief recess to confer with the Vraxian delegation," Elena announced firmly. Minutes later, in a small conference room, Elena faced Cthulhu across a table designed for species with very different physiology. "They expect us to fight," Cthulhu stated, the translator conveying dry amusement, "to confirm their prejudices about Deathworlders." Elena nodded. "They're setting us against each other to justify rejecting both our petitions. Clever, if transparent." Cthulhu's head tilted, a curiously human gesture. "Your species is young in space, Commander. Ours has wandered the stars for centuries, yet only now sought Council membership. Do you know why?" "I'd be interested to hear." "Because the threats beyond Council space grow. The void swarm expands. The quantum blight spreads." Cull leaned forward. "The Council species, evolved on gentle worlds, lack what we possess: the evolutionary drive to overcome, to adapt, to survive against all odds." Elena's mind raced. "You're suggesting an alliance rather than competition." "Precisely. NGC 4371 has resources enough for both our species. Together, we could establish a joint presence that would not only satisfy the Council's test, but demonstrate a new model of cooperation." When they returned to the Council chamber, the assembled diplomats fell silent at their united approach. "The United Earth Federation and the Vraxian Collective have reached an agreement," Elena announced. "We will jointly develop NGC 4371 as equal partners, establishing the first human Vraxian cooperative colony." The stunned silence that followed was broken by Vreen's sputtering objection. This is not what was proposed. "Yet it satisfies your requirements," Cthulhu countered smoothly. "Both species will demonstrate their capabilities in settlement and resource development. We simply choose to do so cooperatively rather than competitively." What followed over the next months shocked the Council to its core. Not only did the human Vraxian colony thrive, but it rapidly became a hub of innovation. Human adaptability complemented Vraxian precision. Earth's water reclamation technology paired perfectly with Vraxian architectural designs optimized for harsh environments. And when pirates from the Orion Arm attacked the fledgling colony, expecting easy pickings, they encountered a defense that blended human tactical unpredictability with Vraxian strategic calculation. The pirates were captured with minimal casualties and delivered to Council authorities, along with evidence linking them to Council-affiliated corporate interests. As the cycle drew to a close, the Council watched with growing unease as the Deathworlders not only refused to fight each other, but formed a bond that made them stronger together than apart. The Council had laughed when they sat the Deathworlders at the same table. They weren't laughing anymore, proving their worth. 6 months after the establishment of New Harmony, the joint human-Vraxian colony in the NGC 4371 system, Ambassador Kthul and Commander Elena Jackson found themselves once again standing before the Galactic Council. This time, however, the Council's demeanor had shifted from condescension to wary respect. The Council acknowledges the unexpected success of your joint venture, High Councilor Vreen said, his tentacles moving in patterns that Elena had learned indicated reluctant admission. Both delegations have demonstrated remarkable resourcefulness. Thank you, High Councilor, Elena replied smoothly. The United Earth Federation and Vraxian Collective believe our partnership demonstrates the potential benefits our membership would bring to the Council. Before Vreen could respond, the Chamber's emergency alert system activated, bathing the vast room in pulsing red light. A harried-looking Telsic rushed to Vreen's side, speaking in urgent tones too low for the translator to catch. Vreen's color shifted alarmingly. This council session is suspended due to developing security concerns. All delegations are advised to return to their quarters. As the chamber erupted in confused chatter, Kthul moved closer to Elena. Something significant has occurred, the Vraxian observed, compound eyes scanning the room. Council species show physiological signs of extreme distress. Elena's communication device vibrated. Commander, this is Captain Chen of the UEF Intrepid. We're picking up massive subspace distortions near the Persephone Nexus. Council forces are mobilizing, but communications are fragmented. The Void Swarm, Kthul said grimly, mandibles clicking rapidly. It appears they have finally breached Council space. 2 hours later, Elena and Kthul stood in the station's strategic command center, having leveraged their respective military credentials to gain access. The holographic displays showed a terrifying reality. A vast cloud of biomechanical entities swarming through the Persephone Nexus, overwhelming defense platforms and consuming everything in their path. Evacuation of Sector 7 is at 30%, reported a Council tactical officer, their voice trembling. Projected complete sector loss within 12 hours. Where are the Council defense fleets? Elena asked. Administrator Telsic's multiple eyes blinked in distress. Mobilizing, but dispersed. The Council hasn't faced an external threat of this magnitude in millennia. Our response protocols are insufficient. We've encountered similar threats, Kill stated. The Vraxian Collective has developed countermeasures against swarm intelligence systems, and Earth has experience with adaptive combat against overwhelming odds. Elena added, if you grant us command authority over a joint task force, we believe we can at least slow the Void Swarm's advance while civilian evacuation proceeds. High Councilor Vreen, who had been silently observing, straightened to his full height. You propose that we place Council forces under Deathworlder command. Unprecedented. As is this invasion, Elena countered. Unprecedented threats require unprecedented responses. After brief deliberation among the senior Council members, Vreen nodded reluctantly. Limited command authority is granted, constrained to the Persephone sector. Save our people, Commander. Ambassador. Prove that Deathworlders can be protectors as well as warriors. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of tactical decisions, improvised solutions, and desperate gambits. The combined Earth-Vraxian command approach stunned the Council forces with its effectiveness. Where Council tactics rely on established protocols, the Deathworlders embraced adaptive strategies that evolved as they learned more about the enemy. Standard weapons have minimal effect, Thull observed as they watched footage of Council cruisers firing energy weapons into the swarm, barely slowing its advance. Their distributed intelligence allows them to sacrifice components without significant loss of function. Elena nodded, studying the swarm's movement patterns. They're organized like Earth insects, emergent intelligence arising from simple individual behaviors. But look here, she pointed to an anomaly in the pattern. There's a coordination node. They're not truly decentralized. Thull's compound eyes focused on the display. Yes, fascinating. If we could disrupt that node. Exactly what I was thinking. Elena smiled grimly. And I think our two species have the perfect technologies to combine. The plan they developed was audacious. Human nanite technology, originally designed for environmental remediation, would be modified with Raxian bioelectric disruptors. The resulting hybrid technology would target the swarm's coordination nodes, creating a cascading failure throughout the collective. This is insanity, protested the Council's chief scientist after reviewing their proposal. Untested technology deployed against an existential threat. The risk is acceptable compared to certain defeat, Thull interrupted, mandibles clicking firmly. As the swarm approached the final defensive line, a small fleet of ships, human and Vraxian designs flying alongside reluctant Council vessels, moved into position. At their center was the UEF Intrepid, modified with Vraxian technology and carrying the prototype disruptor. All ships in position, Captain Chen reported from the Intrepid's bridge. Swarm closing at Vector 274. Disruptor charging at 90%. Elena looked at Thull, who stood beside her on the command deck. Your people's calculations were perfect, if this works. When this works, Thull corrected, it will demonstrate what Deathworlders bring to the galaxy, not just the strength to survive, but the will to protect others. Disruptor at full charge, Chen announced, firing in 3, 2, 1. A pulse of energy. Invisible except for the rippling distortion it created in space, emanated from the Intrepid, passing harmlessly through the Allied ships before reaching the approaching swarm. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like a wave spreading through water, disruption rippled through the swarm. Coordination failed. Individual units began to drift aimlessly or attack neighboring units. The massive collective intelligence that had seemed unstoppable just moments before disintegrated into chaos. All ships engage with conventional weapons, Elena ordered. Target the disoriented clusters. The battle that followed was brief but decisive. Without their collective intelligence, the swarm components were formidable but manageable threats. Council, human, and Vraxian ships worked in concert, methodically eliminating the fragmented enemy forces. 3 days later, a formal ceremony was held in the Council chamber. Elena and Thull stood before the assembled representatives, the atmosphere dramatically different from their first appearance. The Council acknowledges the extraordinary service rendered by the United Earth Federation and the Vraxian Collective. High Councilor Vreen announced, his usual disdain replaced with something approaching humility. In recognition of your actions, which saved countless lives, both applications for Council membership are approved, effective immediately. Applause, or various species equivalents, filled the chamber. Elena exchanged a glance with Thull, both recognizing the significance of the moment. Furthermore, Vreen continued once the chamber quieted. The Council proposes the establishment of a new joint defense initiative to be led by representatives from Earth and Vraxia. It appears that the qualities we once dismissed as dangerous, adaptability, resilience, and yes, the evolutionary heritage of Deathworlds, may be precisely what the galaxy needs in these uncertain times. As they left the chamber, Thull turned to Elena. They feared us because they did not understand us. The Vraxian observed. What they called aggression, we call survival. What they saw as dangerous unpredictability, we recognize as necessary adaptation. Elena nodded. And now they're beginning to see that the traits that helped us survive on our homeworlds might just help the entire galaxy survive what's coming. Indeed, Cathal's mandibles clicked in amusement. They laughed when two Deathworlders sat at the table. Now they invite us to help lead. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, Alina quoted with a smile. Cathal tilted his head, a human cultural reference. I look forward to learning more of them. And I look forward to learning about Vraxian culture, Alina replied. After all, we Deathworlders have to stick together. As they walked through the station, other species no longer shied away. Instead, they watched with new eyes, seeing not dangerous primitives, but the defenders who had stood against the darkness when all seemed lost. The council had stopped laughing. They had started listening. And the galaxy would never be the same.